So for step 25, the damper assembly, you can see here that they are showing you how to build the friction shocks that come with the kit. Well, depending on which version you bought, the kit actually may come with the oil-filled shocks, and you can see here they're even telling you that it could be different depending on which kit, and a lot of times they don't show you this because obviously oil-filled shocks is an upgrade and you can pick whatever you want. But this kit literally is coming with oil-filled shocks, and when you see it says bag C, well, bag C in this kit is entirely to do with the oil-filled shocks. Everything in there to do with this, and of course the instruction manuals of how to build it. So I have to basically skip this, and we're going to move to building the oil-filled shocks based on the instructions they supply. So again, if your kit only comes with the friction shocks, this step is for you. But if it is a kit that comes with the oil-filled shocks, you're going to get the instructions out of bag C. And again, that is the only bag for this step, because the next step itself, 26, when we're installing the damper stays, we've actually moved on to bag D. So anyways, I'm going to pull everything together, get it all set up, and we'll start building these oil-filled shocks. So when you pull out the instructions in the bag, you can see we have 3 very simple steps. That's the first part, then we've got step 2, and then we have step 3. Now what I've noticed is, they're showing you doing everything for front end back here, and same again in 2 and 3. Well, just to stop any confusion, I'm going to work on the front dampers first, then go on to the rear, because the parts are coming off a different tree, and if I pull them all out, I just don't want any confusion. So I have everything that I need for the front, and all the other pieces that are required for the rear shocks, they're all in these bags still sealed. And of course, the only difference is those rubber boots, they're color coded either front or rear. So I'm going to work on the front ones first, and I've got some of the parts here, and you can see how the difference in the metal rods as well are quite a bit different. And I mean, look at the shocks themselves, or the springs, quite a huge difference actually between front and rear. So anyways, I think we'll just get started. So I will pull this stuff together, which you can see is going to be this one. We're going to need that part, we're going to need that part, and that part, and then we're going to oil up the O-rings, which they're the same for all of them, so I didn't have a problem pulling them all out, and then we'll put it all together. So let's do that now. And with this, I don't know how you might do it, but I actually am totally fine to get all oiled up. I don't care. That's all part and parcel to doing this. Get that O-ring greased up and put that O-ring into the top there. And it requires 2, so we'll grab another one. Grab the oil. Same idea. Now that's all oiled up. And we're going to put that in there as well. Now I've got some paper towel just to get the oil off my own hands, and then you can see that we need W1, which was this piece right here, and we're just going to screw it on. So that part is ready to go, and then we're going to take the front piston rod. You can see we're going to need to grease or oil it up, I should say. And once we've got that oiled up, we take our cylinder and we're going to slide through. There. Okay, so there we go. So that's that part. And then we've got V2, and we're going to screw that on as well. And actually that's going on super easy. And I may tighten it up a bit more, and I've got my shock pliers ready to go. So I'll just take a look and see if we need to tighten that up at all. So sometimes when you're building these oil dampers, they'll tell you where they want the end to be when you're screwing those on. This set doesn't say that. So what I've done is I've grabbed the shock pliers and basically turned this until really you can't turn it any farther. So that was the easiest way to do it, and everything's working fine. So we'll just build the other front one, and then we'll move on to the next step. So again, let's grab our O-ring, put some oil on there. Grab the cylinder, stick the first O-ring inside, grab another O-ring, oil it up, put the O-ring inside, just like that. And then we'll take our W1 piece, see that, and we're going to screw that on all the way. And that's how it should look after that. So now we're going to grab our piston rod again and oil that up. And again, we're going to put that down the center, push, out it comes, and then we grab this one, the V2 piece, and we're going to spin this on. And it's pretty much going all the way. I'm going to grab my shock pliers. And again, they're a great thing to have because they'll hold it tight. And then I'm just going to spin this until I can't spin it anymore. And there we have the other front one. So for step one, there we have both of them ready to go. So we will move on to now the step two for that one. And we're going to work on the damper oil. And we're going to be using the green oil seals for that, and we'll just fill them up. So for step two, you want to grab one of your the cylinders that you've made, and you want to pull that down all the way, and then you want to fill the entire thing with oil. I don't know if you can see in there. Probably not. It might be tougher, but you will in a minute. So I'm just filling this all the way. And then what you're going to do is you're going to slowly move the piston up and down to get out all of the air. And again, I want to fill this as much as possible, so that when we're doing this, you can see the bubbling that happens. And you want the piston to be totally covered in oil. And in fact, I'm going to just add a little bit more. And you're going to see the air bubbles. And we want to just go up and down and make sure that we're clearing all of that air. And they want you to do it slow so that you're not creating air bubbles. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. It's not pushing out any more air, so I think we're good. So what we're going to do now is we grab one of our oil seals and we're going to put this on the top and push down. Now it does show you that you're going to have oil leakage and they want you to use a tissue or something to hold it down, or to collect all of the excess oil. And I can see there's still some spillage around the sides. But once that's done, we're going to grab the cap and put it on top and completely seal it. So there it is. So now you'll notice there's a bit of bounce to the shock itself. Once that's done. So I can tell like this is running super smooth now. And there's a bit of pushback, but it's super smooth. And all that will work really, really well once everything else is attached with the springs. So anyways, there's one. So I'll just go ahead and make the other one. I won't repeat it on camera, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so I already put one of them together just so that I could see that everything was working correctly. So let's go ahead and put the oil into the other one. So what they're telling you to do is pull this all the way down. Then we're going to fill the cylinder with oil. And I'm not sure how much of this you're actually going to be able to see, but we'll do what we can here. And I'm going to fill this all the way. Kind of see that it's already got a lot of air in there, but I want to just fill it as much as I can. And then what we're going to do is we're going to push the cylinder with the piston up and down to clear the bubbles. And you can see the bubbles that are showing up, and that's the air that's inside. And we don't want air in the oil. So I'm just going to move this up and down and clearing out all of the oil. And you want to do this fairly slowly as well. You can see that there's still some air in there, but I'm not seeing any new oil or new bubbles forming. So you're kind of just wanting to push this up and down until you can get that cleared. And it looks like we don't have any more air in there. Now, I might just add just a touch more oil in there. It's kind of already at the overflow point, but I just want, yeah, it is at the overflow point. I just want to make sure that we're actually removing a lot of that air. Yeah, and it's definitely there. So what we need to do is we need to pull the piston all the way down to the bottom. We're going to grab our oil seal, sit this on top, and you know it's going to overflow. We know that, which is why they tell you you need a tissue or something to be able to take out the excess. So I'm just going to go around and make sure I've got a lot of the excess oil. And then you're going to grab the top cap and get it on there nice and tight. And I can still feel we've got quite a bit of the extra oil there. So again, twist that nice and tight. And there we go. So there we have another shock built. And you can tell that this is super, super smooth. And you can see it kind of wants to push out, and that's part of the pressure that's been created with the oil-filled shocks. So that's great. So that is the next part done. So now we're going to move on to step 3 and attach the springs. So I've decided to go with the V7 piece, which is this one right here. That's what it looks like. It's a little thicker. All the other ones are thinner, which means that this is going to give the front springs the most spring tension by using this piece. So if we grab one of the shocks and slide that on, you can see that's where it's going to sit. We're then going to grab our spring, and then when you grab the V5 piece, this is going to slide over the rod and then just sit. So it's now going to look like that. And I can tell that, yeah, there's actually quite a bit of tension in that. I will go with it for now. I may decide to take that out and put in a smaller one so that the spring tension isn't that much. But it actually doesn't feel too bad. But it's so smooth because of the oil. So I'll do the same with the other one, and then we'll move on to making the rear shocks. So here we have the two front ones. So as I mentioned, I was going to make one off camera. They're there. They feel great. Love it. I also decided to make one of the rear ones as well. And I mean, you can see the difference in the size, but that feels really nice. And I have built it with the strongest tensioner, which I think in this case is now an X7. But that is one of them built. So let's go ahead and build that next one. So we're gonna first, from up here, we need to grab an O-ring. We need to oil it up. And as before, I don't mind getting all messy. It's easier this way anyway. So that's all done. There's one. And now we'll grab the other one. Same idea. Let's oil this up. Okay, we've got that one. Just gonna wipe my hands here. So that part is done. We're now going to screw on the cap. So there we go. There is one cap on. Now, the difference with this one is you'll notice that there's actually another small piece, which is called an X3, which comes off of that parts tree. Oops, let's grab the right one. X3, which is this one right here. So I'll just snip that off. And that's going to end up going over the piston rod as well. So if we grab our piston rod, we need to be able to oil it up. There we go. Now, let's find the hole down there. And we're going to slowly push that through to the end. And then you can see we're going to need to put that over top. And we're going to need to grab this one here, which is the X2, which is this piece right here. Got my side cutters, we'll just snap that off. And we're going to screw this on. Now, initially it's going to feel pretty good putting it on. It spins quite well. But if you want to finish this off, and again, I would suggest getting a nice pair of shock pliers. This is so much easier than what they're showing here, grabbing pliers and some tape to stop it, because this is giving you a nice solid feel. And I'm just going to screw it all the way in, and it's in. And I haven't damaged the piston rod in any way, so it is complete. So that ends up being step 1. So step 2, we're going to do the oil. So you need to pull the piston rod all the way down. We need to now fill this with oil. And we're already getting to the end of it. Now I may have used a bit more than I probably should have when I was putting in the piston seals, but I have another one of these from another kit, so I'm going to be able to continue. So I guess the thing is, you want to make sure you don't overuse it, but I was probably a bit too liberal with how I was filling the oil in the first place. But you can see they want you to go to the top, which I'm at, because that rubber seal is what's going to do the work for us when we go to clearing out all of the air bubbles. So the thing is, we need to be able to push this up and down slowly, getting out all of the air bubbles as that oil moves above and below the piston rod. And you can see them, but I don't see any new bubbles forming as air moves up and down through that. So I actually think we're in good shape. So we want to pull this all the way down as I have. We're going to grab the red seal, and as you can see, when I put that on, obviously it's going to leak like crazy everywhere. So they want you to grab some paper towel or something to be able to soak that up. So make sure that's down, yes. And so then we're going to, I was going to cut it off the parts tree. I'm going to do it this way because I don't have a way of holding the, there we go. Let's just now cut this while it's on there. There, and now we can finish that off. So we're going to screw that all the way down. There we go. Just going to clear off more of the excess oil because my hands are starting to get kind of slippy. And there we go. So there is another one of the rear shocks. So then if we go to here, well, what did I show you before? Off of the X, we are going to grab number 7, which is the larger spacer. And we're going to slide that on. And we've got our spring. And then it's also showing you X5, which again, X5. So we'll snap these guys off. And then you're going to want to pull the shock up, slide that over top, and let the shock sit on it properly. So there we go. There is the second rear shock. So that piece right there is just to stop it from bottoming out. that they don't want it to go all the way down, so that's what that's doing. But this feels good, and so both those are feeling nice, and they're so smooth. But again, we can adjust the tension afterwards if need be, but I think for the rear shocks I want to have this with the strongest tensioner so that the car is not bottoming out. But I mean, that's it. We've done the shocks. They are finished. So I'll be done with this one here. So now we are going to go back to here, where we're now going to work on step 26, which is attaching the damper stays.